Hi, I'm Fraser, and this week I've been testing a bike that looks like no other bike out there. It's Victory's bobber style highball. Now, bobber style cruisers have become very popular lately, and Victory have sort of cashed in on this, if you will, and decided, well, we're going to make one straight off the showroom floor. Because let's face it, in order to get a bike that looks like this, normally you'd have to take something and completely change it. Not with the highball, it comes standard with 8 hangers, single seat, white wall tyres, matte black finish on the tank, and the rest of the bodywork. Now that blacked out finish is apparent everywhere on this bike. The triple clamps are black, the headlight casings, some of the head covers, everything bar the white walls, this little white panel on the tank here, and the chrome surround on the Speedo is black. And frankly, I think it's one of the best looking cruisers on the market today. Now, rather than come up with a whole new bike, what Victory have done here is they've taken what is essentially a Victory Vegas and dressed it up a little bit. So it's the same frame, suspension, motor, braking package that you find in the Victory Vegas range, but it looks completely different. Now, powering this beast is the 106 cubic inch or 1731cc 50 degree oil air cooled V-twin, or the Freedom V-twin as Victory calls it, and that's linked to a 6-speed gearbox. Now, being 106 cubic inches, it's got a fair bit of mumble, 97 horsepower to be precise, but more importantly, it's got loads of torque, 154 newton meters. So you can lug this engine off the bottom pretty much in any gear and it will just pull like a train. 100 kilometers an hour, well, in 6th gear it's registering 2,200 RPM. So that 6th gear is really just an overdrive. But don't be fooled into thinking it's a big lazy engine, because this motor really loves to rev. Give it a handful and it will literally take off. And it will try and blow you off the back in excess of almost twice the legal speed limit. Now, you think with 8 hanger bars here and forward controls, it might not be the most comfortable ride, but you'd be wrong actually. Unless you're doing hours and hours in the saddle, it's actually not too bad. If it's too much for you, you can roll these bars back a bit and lower them down, and I found that a bit better myself. The seats, well, it's reasonably comfortable for up to an hour or so. After that I found it just pushing on my tailbone a little bit, but there are custom seats available. And also you'll notice there's no pillion on here, but again that is available as an aftermarket accessory along with some foot pegs to go with it. The dash, nice and simple. It's one big dial with a speedo on the outside and a little LCD inset there, which gives you your rev counter, which can be toggled to a trip meter, odometer, and there's a handy clock on there. It's got a lovely blue hue at night time, so it's quite understated, nice and simple, no frills. Now these 16-inch wire wheels, front and rear, are shod with a very cool pair of Dunlop Cruise Max tyres. Now being 16-inch front and rear, you think, well, the handling might be a little bit suspect, but it's 130mm profile here, 150 on the back, and allied to this conventional fork setup with a monoshock at the back, it actually handles way better than you would think. And with those big wide bars, you can actually muscle it around a bit. It is a little bit on the firm side, I must say, but I'd rather it was firm instead of wallowing around in the corners and bouncing all over the place. So you can actually achieve a fair bit of pace in the twisties on this. The only limiting factor, well, it's the ground clearance of those foot pegs. You can grind them a bit and there's still a bit to go, but you might want to look at changing them if you're going to do a lot of cornering on the cruiser. Now, like most cruisers, the highball is certainly no featherweight. In fact, we wet weighed this bike at 306 kilos with a full tank. So with that, you'd want a reasonably good set of stoppers to bring you to a halt. And unfortunately, this is one area where the highball just lets itself down a little bit. We've got a pair of floating discs, 300 mils front and rear. The front's got a 4-piston caliper, a 2 on the back. But the front seems a little bit vague, and you've got to squeeze this lever very hard. On the other hand, the back is a little bit sharp, and it's very easy to lock it up. So that's one area I think you could improve on. But saying that, when you learn to modulate them both and use them in equal measure, or a bit more back and not so much front, it's quite easy to bring the bike to a good stop. Now, you're probably wondering, how much does it cost? Well, this particular bike is $26,995, and that puts it about $2,500 more than its only real competitor, which is Harley's Street Bob. But for that extra 2.5K, you get quite a bit more horsepower, quite a bit more torque, and quite a bit more individualism. Would I own one? I certainly would consider it. This bike really does look the part. It looks like no other bike out there. It gets a lot of attention, but I'd have to make a couple of small changes. Upgrade that front brake, I think. Tidy up this wiring here, maybe some aftermarket bars with the wiring inside. And I'd probably do something about the seat. Of course, like any self-respecting cruiser, there is a huge range of accessories for the highball, and you can personalise it to your heart's delight. One of those is this aftermarket set of pipes here, which give it a very, very distinctive sound, and frankly, for my money, they're pretty cool looking.